A quick search for Crescent Industries would tell you that we're an injection molder. But there's a lot more to this nearly century-long story. So let's try a better question. Who is Crescent Industries? This is who we are, what we are, told by the people that make Crescent Crescent. This is our story.
My name is Darrell Paulus, and I've been part of this organization for over 65 years. We started as Summit Machine Company many years ago, and my dad partnered with a friend, and they started Summit Machine Works in an alley in New Freedom. Dad was a tireless worker. He did a lot of sketching, and sometimes molds were built from his sketches. For about 10 years, we did nothing but new molds for other molders. In the process, we began to sample our molds and then found that we had some expertise to go ahead and do some molding.
But as Crescent began to cut our teeth in the world of injection molding, we never lost sight of our roots as mold makers.
Our roots, our DNA, are as tool builders, and I think that's fundamental in that our approach when a customer brings us a project, we're immediately looking at it from the perspective of optimal tool design.
After incorporating in 1956, Crescent was primed for success, but then just 2 years later, tragedy struck when our founder, Frank Paulus, passed away unexpectedly at just 51 years old, leaving the future of the young company unknown. But the family refused to let Crescent disappear so easily, so the founder's wife, Mary Paulus, along with a young college-age Darrell Paulus and his older brother, Dean Paulus, who left a career in electronics, pulled together to keep Crescent moving forward.
When Dad passed away unexpectedly, we had a real trial by fire. I mean, I was a green kid coming out of college, and several times we were without payroll and would go up and look into the local post office and find there was a check in there to meet payroll. And that builder was a builder of faith, and we forged ahead. I wouldn't want to go through it again, but it was a real good education. As it went along, we became more experienced, and we hired our own people. And within 6 to 8 months, they were really pulling their weight.
While the need for great people, and specifically tool makers, was a matter of survival at that time, the theme of investing in our people became a cornerstone of Crescent's culture.
My name's Kevin Allison. My role at Crescent is Vice President of Business Development, and I started at Crescent in 1992 as a truck driver.
I started, part-time in high school, if I wanted to go back that far. I worked in the warehouse for 2 summers, loaded material and ran fork truck, loaded and unloaded trucks, all those good things.
My name is Heather Chestnut. I am the Document and Data Control Coordinator at Crescent Industries. I started here back in 2001 as a second shift production operator. My progression here has been from a operator to a shift supervisor to material handling. I have also worked in the clean room and done inspections. And now I am the Document and Data Control Coordinator, and I have been since 2016.
We have employees that have worked here. We have generations. We have folks that their grandparents worked here, besides myself and besides you. But it's just neat to see that family relation, that connection with employees and also with the community. We've been here in a small town for over 75 years, and there's roots and there's connection.
It's wonderful to have a staff like we have here that's fully capable and a lot of wonderful, capable people to work with. I've really never been afraid to hire people that are smarter than I am. And it's just wonderful to work with those kind of people and to just conceptualize something and see them develop it full-blown.
If you think about it, there's about 6,000 plastic processors here in North America, just a few to compete with, right? So if you were to say, well, what makes Crescent unique from the 5,999? It's our people, right? Because we all have brick and mortar, we all have equipment. It's the people that we have here at Crescent in those roles that really can actually execute that. It's Eric's desire that we each better ourselves through reoccurring education, getting out beyond our 4 walls and being a part of certain associations so that we can make sure that we are operating at best practice.
My joy has always been finding the right people and putting them in the right places and giving them a chance to tap into a skill set or a joy that they didn't even know they had. A family business at its best keeps a good culture and promotes it and passes it forward, not only to new generations of ownership, but to second generations and even third generations of employees, as we've seen here.
It's very important to work for a company that values you as more than just an employee. In my 23 years of being here, I've grown very close to a lot of people, and the people are always the heart of the business.
So clearly, the people, many of whom have been with Crescent for decades, are a huge piece of who we are. But that kind of company culture wasn't built overnight. The 1970s marked the most pivotal years of Crescent's history as we continue to push our injection molding capabilities, expanding into the medical industry, and more specifically, diagnostic labware, a challenging but rewarding market that we still serve today. And it was this willingness to accept new challenges that other tool builders and molders wouldn't touch that marks another pillar of Crescent's culture.
We like to tackle the difficult work. We're not in the business of making tackle boxes and garbage cans. We want to do the difficult medical devices and diagnostic disposables and that kind of thing. We're finding that's our niche.
Every design is completely new because we're a custom injection molder, so the challenges are new. And I like to be challenged, and working through something that feels like it's impossible, but you're trying to find a way through, that's fun. I enjoy that.
The fact that we are so custom makes us so interesting, because every day you come into work and there is something new that presents itself. So it's not mundane. You know, you get to do a different thing every day of the week, and it's most enjoyable and fulfilling.
I like a challenge, and I like to be able to figure out a way to meet the challenge. And that was the same way, whether it was a hunting trip, or whether it was a fishing trip, or whether it was going in the market to get a mold to build. One thing we don't do, we're not followers. We are not sheep. We design our own course and our methods of doing things. And we find that the plastic industry now is very mature, but unfortunately, when things get mature, sometimes they become stuck in tradition to the point where innovation is not occurring. And we try to still do this so that we don't get stuck into that time warp.
Now confident in who we were as a company and which markets we could best serve, we expanded throughout the 80s and 90s, renovating our existing tooling facility and opening a state-of-the-art 50,000 square foot injection molding plant in 1998. Which brings us to 2001 and another major turning point in our company's history. All of that talk earlier about having the best people is one thing, but our ownership showed that they really meant it when they decided to enact an employee stock ownership plan, or ESOP, allowing our many loyal employees to directly share in the growth and success of Crescent.
An ESOP is actually a separate entity that holds stock, and every year the value of the company is assessed by an outside auditor. And as the company grows, they actually become a recipient of the growth and profit of the company. It really attracts the kind of employee that we want. We want long-term employees who stay with us, and it also fosters the team spirit.
As far as the ESOP, that's really exciting too, because we have an owner that truly cares for his employees and was willing to share part of the business with them, and it engages the people, and they really like what they do.
Being part of the ESOP is definitely an add-on to your 401k. It's something that you're not contributing to, but yet you're benefiting from. Mm-hmm. So I believe the ESOP is definitely beneficial.
There's an opportunity for us to see the fruits of our labor, not just in a paycheck, but also to really put forth the shoulder to the plow, if you will, and we're all driving in the same direction, and we can see the impact that's making to the ESOP. And as our stock values increase, right, that's exciting to see that take place. And I think that's a total team effort.
As an ESOP, that has probably transformed our business more than any other certainly financial or organizational move in recent history. And what's unique about that ESOP is it's a tangible way to put value back in the employee's hands. It's great to have, a statement or a mission that says, we value employees and we want them to be the best and all those good things. But what more tangible way to show and to demonstrate your desire to perpetuate a culture, but also, we talk in our culture about shared values and shared success. And what better way to share your success than by sharing an ownership stake in the business as it progresses? And I think that's probably the most transformational and most beneficial part about the ESOP.
Since establishing the ESOP in 2001, Crescent's growth exploded, largely driven by those shared values and shared success. In 2009, we launched our Crescent Medical Plastics division, opening our first dedicated clean room and achieving ISO 13485 certification, followed by our FDA registration in 2014. And after another decade of success in our core markets, we recently opened a brand new 30,000 square foot admin and cleanroom facility, adding to our full-service tool shop and general molding facilities, which are all within a mile of that small alley where it all started in New Freedom, Pennsylvania. But while success in our industry is one thing, we believe that the purpose of Crescent and the reason we're still around after all of those years is much bigger than injection molding, which brings us to the final pillar of our company culture.
We like to think that the company has a purpose beyond the dollar. Life is not real long, and I've been fortunate to have a lot of it. The wonderful thing about working in a business like this is that you can leave something, a legacy that goes on and grows.
Our ability to be able to give back to a community, to give back to organizations that we believe are in alignment with our values and cultures, and I think that's the other neat thing, right? Is that we can see that by us growing and being a stable, both financially stable as well as just having a good solid customer base, it's allowing us to provide for families that are working, but also provide for other organizations outside of the workplace. And I think that's a cool movement.
River Valley Ranch is one that's been special, and this is the kind of organization, well-run, efficient, and profitable for souls. So that's our endeavor as the company grows, that we continue to grow our contribution in this area.
So that's our story. It's not one of an overnight success, but rather of perseverance and long-term prosperity for our people and the surrounding community. But there's one last important question that we need answered. Where did the name Crescent come from?
The way it came about was the family went on vacation every year at a wonderful place in Eaglesmere, Pennsylvania. There were 3 major hotels. Crestmont Inn was one of them. I remember sitting around the kitchen table, and Mom and Dad were trying to figure out a name for the company, and they were trying to get Crestmont in there somewhere, and somehow or another it morphed into Crescent. You mentioned about the logo. My understanding of it is, of course, some of these stories you never know what the origin was, but that it was a paint drop on a round light, and it splashed and made that shape. So
We'll go with that.
That's the story.